Oh my gosh! The hell? What is this? 250? What is 260? This is a 2006 C55, the C55 AMG, and from the outside it doesn't look that sporty, but the engine that is under the hood scares Ferraris and Porsche off the road. Holy freaking! You're tuning into a special episode of Autogefühl with Thomas. And well, today my friend Harald asked me to review his personal vehicle, and there are at least two very interesting things about it. First of all, the base vehicle was just about 15,000 euros or dollars, so basically one of the cheapest powerhouse estates you can actually get. And it would usually feature a 5.4 liter V8 with around 350 horsepower. Well, but then my friend Harald said, that's not enough for me, so he asked his friend Ralf from Race Car Tech to put a similar engine, also a 5.4 liter V8, but from the SL55, and that one was supercharged. And it is placed in here right now. It is not meant to be, but now makes 570 horsepower at least, and has actually two separate cooling cycles to be able to fit this one without everything falling apart. Also with a separate cooler in the lower part here, and we will experience this engine here today. Design-wise, this W203 generation features the very characteristic round headlamps here in the front, and I would like to know from you guys, how do you find this design in comparison to the all-new C-Class? From this generation, by the way, over 2 million pieces were sold, so actually one of their best sellers throughout the years. And that this is even the estate model is so deceiving, because from the outside, well, you only can see it's put a little bit lower suspension-wise, and it has these AMG 18-inch wheels, but other than that, it looks like a normal estate, so you cannot really see the power from the outside. That's why, you know, when you meet someone else on the Autobahn in a true sports car, there might be some surprises. What's cool, at that time, 5.5 when it stands on the outside, it was almost true. So this one at 5.43 liters, so they cheated a little bit, but at least when they said C55, it was somewhat related. From the rear, you might expect what this car is capable of here with these quad pipes, but that's basically it. So at that time, they didn't have so many design elements from the exterior. If you want to see more of these cars, by the way, these kind of cars or these young timer vehicles, also especially the performance ones, on our channel here, put me in the comments. How was the door closing sound 15 years ago? Yeah, signature, right? Let's take a glimpse at the interior. Here, wood at the inside of the doors, and then the AMG entry badges. And this one has a bright interior at that time. Steering wheel also with a sportier form than the normal C-Class. And what did it actually introduce? Here you have something of a digital part on the middle part of the instruments, but otherwise still classical analog. And in the middle part, for the first time, you had the command system, which is of course nowadays outdated. And also very important, this generation introduced window airbags. Here, the classic cockpit perspective. It's so interesting to compare it to nowadays Mercedes. Here you had still, you know, some real buttons at the steering wheel, but overall the interior doesn't seem that classy, because in this generation there was already a lot of black plastic, especially around the buttons and so on. So when you compare the build quality from these generations, actually the ones that came before and the newer ones look actually a little bit better. What do you think? Very interesting seating position here. You can manually adjust that steering wheel up and down, in and out, and you have a very low seating position, also if you compare it to nowadays vehicles. That's interesting. And with 1.89 m or 6'2", yes, I have to correct that. I'm a little bit taller than I was expecting myself. Here's still some headroom left. It's actually still quite spacious. Well, these vehicles have gotten longer and longer and longer, and also got longer wheelbase. So the thing here, when I'm sitting in the rear, when I'm driving, I can hardly fit here. This is more like a dimension of a nowadays A-Class or something. And a glimpse at that trunk. So the thing is that these old estate trunks were enormous. Look at the width here and the square dimensions. All right, German motorway, Autobahn with that C55. And well, my friend Harald, so the owner of this vehicle, is sitting right next to me. And he has never put pedal to the metal, he said, because the traction control was already complaining. before even putting pedal to the metal. There is also a sport mode available that boosts the speed a little bit further, and well, he asked me to put the pedal to the metal this time today and see how it goes. I have no idea. I tested it a little bit before, but we start from 40 kilometers an hour. Let's see how that thing goes here. Holy freaking 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. Oh my gosh, the hell? What is this, 250? What is 260? Okay, that's enough now. Safety first. What the hell? And this is a 15, 16-year-old vehicle, and oh my gosh. So now you know how it feels putting pedal to the metal. Yeah, he's happy. Oh my god. Well, now I know. I told you initially that he spent only 15k for this vehicle, and this can be a fast, cheap racer. But for all these modifications, he actually paid more than double the initial price for the car on top for his car expert guy. And I know now why. Here with the supercharger in it, it's even more powerful. And I'm not sure if you could see that on camera, but like the traction control, it was like going nuts all the way around. So I really had to hold tight to the steering wheel. When you're already at speed, and we picked a day, like a nice summer day here, almost, yeah, it's spring, but 20 degrees Celsius. So that's, you know, in like 70s, yeah, in the 70s Fahrenheit, something like that, close to 80s. So really pleasant temperatures, and the tires, we already made them warm, so that's fine. But as long as, you know, as it's dry, it's okay. But when it's just slightly wet, this car becomes really dangerous because it just has too much power for that rear axle indeed. What's interesting is that the handling is actually super cool. We're soon also doing some more winding corners. There's actually like a third-party Bilstein Fahrwerk. Yeah, when I say Bilstein in German, it's like I always say Fahrwerk. That's the suspension. So a Bilstein Fahrwerk. German lesson for today. It's the Bilstein suspension. So you know they are making race suspensions, and you really feel that. It's not too uncomfortable, but at the same time we have good sporty feeling. So a normal C-Class from that time would be like really wobbly in the feeling, and the AMG version would be kind of stiff. But here this new suspension that is fitting to this older vehicle is really making a great ride. You have both actually. It's quite comfortable, but at the same time you have not like this swimming up effect. Here also when we're going off this motorway now, we're soon going on it again, then you feel you have very good control. Steering feeling is not too bad. You know, with older vehicles it's sometimes really weird, but being the AMG version here, it feels quite natural. It's really nice. So I'm really astonished. I would have expected before the ride that the ride itself feels, let's say, a little bit older, but it doesn't. It still feels pretty modern, and especially then with this, you know, with the retrofitted suspension, then that makes a very modern impression. So, oh, it's a GLK next to us. So this is kind of like a, you know, Back to the Past episode here. Yeah, now Back to the Future. Yeah, every red traffic light is something where it's like, maybe I'm gonna have some more fun with that one. What's your consumption in this one here? Fuel consumption, do you know?
Nearly, if I drive a little bit more moderate, it's something around 13 liters. For
13 liters on 1 kilometer.
For 100 kilometers.
Yeah, that's...
But if we drive like now, you are somewhere between 15 and 18.
Oh, 15 and 18, yeah, okay. That GLK wants to race us. What is going on? Look at that guy. A GLK with electric bicycles at the rear in the bike carrier, and his 50 is allowed here, and we was driving like 80 or something now. He was maybe like furious, like, I mean, the exhaust is not that loud because Harald didn't want to have it that loud, actually, you know, that you can, that the police doesn't, you know, get you off the road. In Germany, we often say then, you know, when you're driving motorcycles or fast cars, you say to the police, call it as Rennleitung, you know, like like the race marshals, you know, that's how you call them then. So they would actually intervene then probably. Yeah, but this guy could follow us now on the, you know, on the motorway to race us again maybe, but wow, not sure what. Maybe he also has some like some supercharger underneath that GLK HUD or something. I don't know. But you know, this is the thing about this vehicle. You look at it from the outside and everyone totally underestimates it. And yeah, Harold earlier told me some stories about a Ferrari that was then, you know, like what is going on there? And then he did like a downshift and missed a gear or something and revved it all up and was super confused. So you can stress out some people with this vehicle easily. And at the same time, you know, when you just cruise it around, it's actually decently comfortable, both suspension-wise, seating-wise, and so on. And it's not too loud, so you can have a longer trip with this one. Also, maybe going to some, you know, to the Alps or something, that you have some nice serpentine roads. And on the way you're getting there, you're not stressed out or annoyed or something. But when you need that power, it's there. Of course, if you would have the base C55, it would already be totally sufficient. Why did you actually? I mean, what was the motivation?
The motivation was a really small vehicle like the C-Class,
yeah,
but with the power of a Porsche.
Oh,
really
okay.
hard build-up Porsche. This was the target.
So
to get a supercar, but with the daily driver qualities, but also with the inner shape of a normal vehicle.
And here at 100 kilometers or 60 miles an hour, let's see where the acceleration is going when we are already at speed. 7,000 RPM. Holy shit. And 200 again. Wow. So that was a sprint from 100 to 200 kilometers an hour, from 60 miles to 125 miles an hour. Wow. And that thing is, I mean, it's so screaming, but it also sounds so clean, you know? It's literally like, and you don't feel that there would be, you know, any resistance at all that goes forward like this. Wow. Really amazing. And we know this like from modern supercars or something, but would have never expected this here from a 2006 C-Class. That is really something astonishing. And well, I think the guy you have there, I mean, just how the car feels and how it sounds, that really sounds like very decent work, you know, that he must be really know what he's doing, your guy there, you have there. Well, so Ralf, if you're watching this, best greetings also to you. Good job there. Wow. But of course, we really want to test it now also in winding corners, and we're driving uphill. See about the, you know, corner agility of this thing. 90-degree bend, you see here, 90-degree turn, and also steering goes 90 degrees. So it's actually more precise and direct than I would have imagined at that point, at that stage. We have now our agile driving part. Of course, here the road is a little bit worse. Now the suspension, the stiff suspension, you feel it, but it's not that you would get pushes in your lumbar area that would get, you know, too bad. Yeah, traction loss all the time, and usually you would have that not even like with ESC Sport or so, maybe even not with ESC off, but here with everything, all electronic helpers turned on, the traction control goes on. And yeah, I mean, at that power, at that rear axle, you should also leave it on, as you know, as long as you are on public roads, and maybe deactivate it when you are on a super empty parking lot or something. But really astonished how well this drives also these tight corners. Remember, at that point, these cars were short and also had shorter wheelbases, and this is definitely helping here. So yeah, what a super fun car. And of course, this is, you know, gone nuts, of course, with these modifications. But then if you think about, if you would have had just left it as it is, how good the price-performance ratio is, how much fun you can have, how much power do you get for that low entry price. Of course, you really have to pay attention. You know, in this area, there are also some bogus offers. You really have to pay close attention. Best is when you know someone who really knows something about these cars, and then can accompany you to get a real proper one, and then you can have a lot of fun with this one here. Of course, this one, especially with these round headlamps, special design, has a lot of character. So who would have thought at that time that this one is, becoming something that, like a classic? Not yet, of course, more in the young timer area, but then again, if you think about that huge trunk there, yeah, it's something special to have this old school powerhouse estate. What do you guys think? Oh, and by the way, talking about the modifications, so next thing that Harald will do is actually putting even more horsepower in that one. So there will be even more modifications, just because he can. That's actually the real reason for that. We also have some more interesting content for you. We also have the Baby Benz episode. Have you seen that one? Really cool vehicle, of course, and not to forget the Mercedes SL Generations episode. So if you're into also more, a little bit more older cars, we have a lot of great episodes of that here on Autogefühl.